Did you hear about the asteroid that is almost going to hit the Earth? You know, it's like, looks like this. There's an artist rendering and everything, gets you all scared. You click on it and everything. I don't know. For me, it seems like this happens like every month. The story comes around and the asteroid never hits the Earth and the asteroid never even comes close to the Earth. Well, tonight I'd like you to stay up all night with me and explore the most overhyped Astro stories in the universe. Welcome to All Night with Dean Regas. I'm Dean Regas, I'm your astronomer, and I've been an astronomer for more than 20 years, and there's certain stories that come around. There's certain astronomy stories that get these lots of clicks, they go viral, and they're like a bunch of nothing. It gets me kind of frustrated because I don't know how to put this delicately, but there's some writers out there that write science and space stories that don't really know much space and science. And I'm not going to call it any names, but you know who you are. You take the easy route and you pick some story that sounds like it's going to be really cool and really dramatic, but actually is about as lame as can be. So I'm going to cover some of my top 5 overhyped Astro stories. And I think I'm just going to dive in with the number 5, which is what I was just talking about earlier, is the asteroid that almost hits the Earth. And I don't know, you probably have seen this coming across on social media, is watch out, this asteroid's gonna miss us by only 5 million miles, or this asteroid's gonna miss us by only 2 million miles. And that sounds kind of scary, but 2 million miles, that's pretty far. The distance from the Earth to the moon is about 240,000 miles. If something misses by a few million miles, that's not a real big deal. It's cool, trust me, it's really cool because I like to find out when stuff is coming towards us. That's always nice. And that's one of the best things about our planetary defense system. We actually do have a planetary defense system where we're looking for these asteroids that could potentially hit the Earth. Good news, we have never seen one that is going to hit the Earth. Man, that makes me feel a lot better. The only problem is that you read these articles oh, it's almost going to hit the Earth. So let me just tell you, I'm not scared of that kind of stuff. When I read this thing and I see that, I'm yeah, all right, that's cool, but I mean, let's not get scared about us. So the other thing that happens when you see these stories, so yeah, by the way, so if they say it's more than 1 million miles away, just don't even read the article because they're just trying to get you. If it's between us and the moon, then I start paying attention. But if it's a little bit farther out, nah. So, but the thing that happens is when people read these stories, then they call me up and say, hey, can we see this asteroid almost hit the Earth? Can you point your telescope at it and see it? No, never, never. Now, one time have we ever been able to see one of these passing asteroids, because in all those articles that they write, they never mention how faint the object will be when it passes the Earth. They're usually 12th, 13th, 15th magnitude. That means you can't even see them with our giant telescope. So the best ways that we usually image these passing asteroids that come really close to us is with these really kind of eerie, ghostly images. These are done by mostly radio telescopes. This one's from Goldstone. There's also ones from Arecibo and places like that where they can do these kind of radio images of this stuff. So that gives these ghostly things. Now, this is with some of the best technology in the world, not with your backyard telescope. And so it doesn't really give you a lot of cool details, but not bad. And you only have a little bit of time as it flies by. There is another one. I hesitate to put this on here, but I'm going to anyway, because yeah, this one went around the internet because if you look at that certain part of it, at the very first frame, doesn't it look like a skull? Yeah, it looks a little like a skull. It's just a hunk of rock. And it only looks like a skull at that one part, but I don't know, pretty cool. I'll click on that and see if it's a skull, but yeah, it didn't hit us. Whenever you see those stories come by, just pass them by. So my number 4 overhyped space story, this one doesn't get me too mad, is the penumbral lunar eclipse. This is when you have the moon go into the Earth's shadow, and penumbral lunar eclipse sounds cool, but it's really not cool. what's happening is the Earth is casting a couple shadows and the moon goes into the lighter shadow of the Earth. And basically you can't even tell the difference. Like, so whenever they say, oh yeah, look for a penumbral lunar eclipse happening here and you'll see it slightly darker on one side. And then the media always puts like pictures like this. This is not a penumbral lunar eclipse. This is a total lunar eclipse. And so they put the wrong pictures with it. That gets me a little bit mad because people start expecting this great lunar eclipse to happen, but it doesn't. So what happens in a penumbral lunar eclipse is the moon goes through the lighter shadow of the Earth and vaguely, just barely, changes its tint. Now, what would this actually look like? This is a picture taken by local amateur astronomer June Lau of the moon right before a penumbral lunar eclipse. Then he took this picture during the penumbral lunar eclipse. Can you tell any difference whatsoever? No, and that's what happens during a penumbral lunar eclipse. Disappointment. Well, okay, not exactly. I mean, you get to see a full moon, which is pretty cool, and maybe you can see a full moon rising, but you're not going to see any shadows. Sorry. So number 3 on my list has to be comets. Comets are notoriously fickle objects. Like, astronomers really don't have any idea how bright they're going to be. Sometimes they get really, really bright, and sometimes they just don't. And there's no real good way of telling what will work. So if you ever hear some media stories, they like to pick up on this. They like to say, oh, look, there's a comet coming around next year that astronomers are saying is going to be bright. Yeah, any astronomers that's saying that, please, astronomers out there, just don't say that anymore because it's not true and you know it's not true. We've had so many overhyped comets in the last 20 years. I can't count them all. The latest one was the Green Comet earlier in the year. And the Green Comet was like, hey, check this out, man. It's going to be like so bright you're going to be able to see it with the naked eye. No, you can't see it with the naked eye. This is a picture taken by local amateur astronomer Eric Harris doing a 2-hour-long exposure with his camera. 2 hours long, and that's how much light came through. So to your naked eye, yeah, you didn't see anything. In fact, I tried to view at the observatory, and I barely found it with our giant telescope. So comets, if they ever say it's going to be naked eye brightness, watch out for that. Because the thing is though, we're on a big comet drought. The last really great comet we had was Comet Hale-Bopp, and that was back in 1997. I don't know if you all remember that. I don't know, some of you are probably too young for that. I was just about a couple of years old. It was an awesome comet, that's for sure, and it appeared across the sky. Now, we totally need a new comet like this. We need something this bright. So if we have one coming around, I'll let you know. I do also want to watch this movie. I don't know what this movie is. I just found this picture on the internet. I'm fascinated by it. I don't know what's happening with the comet here, but if anybody's ever seen this movie, just type in the comments what you thought about it. All right, number 2. This one's been on my mind, especially lately, because we had this thing called this planet parade earlier in the year where all the planets were going to be all lined up and stuff. There's something weird about planetary alignments in people. They think like something's going to happen, like some power is going to happen when all the planets line up, and like gravity's going to be weird, or like psychologically people are going to be weird. Planetary alignments happen a lot. The problem is with most of them that get hyped, they can't really be seen. And this is what happened the last time where we had this planetary alignment happen. I'm trying to see what we're pointed at here, but this was like earlier in the year where they had Jupiter down here and Mercury there and Venus and Uranus and the moon and Mars all lined up. Now that sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? I mean, that sounds like really pretty sweet to have all those things lined up. And this looks great on charts. But in actuality, in reality, it wouldn't look anything like this because the sun would be up in the sky at this time. So all those planets are not visible except Venus. There you go. Oh, and the moon. All right, cool, Venus, moon. Yeah, but like that happens all the time. Now, there's gonna be one also here in May that might get some hype. This is, what do we got? Oh, I gotta switch over here. We got Uranus, Mercury, Jupiter, Neptune, Saturn, way up there. Again, sounding really cool. And again, it's going to be in the daytime, and again, you won't see it. And if ever they ever say you can see Uranus, Without a telescope, they are incorrect. Technically, it is visible to the naked eye if you're in a really dark sky. I've never seen it with the naked eye. You always need a telescope. So that takes you down a few planets. But there are really cool planetary alignments. Okay, this one is one that happened back in 2002, and it is so old that I have my old graphics here. This is like from my 2002 computer. Pretty cool graphics. Look at those trees. Those are really good. But let me get out of the way. We got the sun there. We got the moon there, Mercury there, Saturn there, Mars there, Venus there, Jupiter there, all lined up. And then the sun set. Once the sun set, you could actually see all those planets at once. That was really sweet back in 2002. The next time this will be kind of like this won't be until 2040. So yeah, wait for that. All right, well, we come to one of my favorite sections of the show called Hey Dean. And what happens is, as an astronomer, when people hear that I'm an astronomer, they have lots of space questions. And so it usually goes with, kind of starts with, Hey Dean, I saw something weird in the sky. In this case, it is, Hey Dean, what is the #1 overhyped Astro story there is? And it has to be meteor showers. Meteor showers have the most frequently overhyped things, and they also provide the greatest source of disappointment for stargazers, because this is how it usually goes. Science writers looking for something to write about, they look up and like, hey, wait, there's like these annual meteor showers every couple months. I need to like make some money off an article, so I'm going to write an article about a meteor shower because it happens all the time. And I can actually be even more lazy. I can recycle an old article that I wrote a long time ago and just change the dates, and it'll be really cool. I'm not calling out anybody by name or anything, but just, hey, I'm a writer too. I understand you want to cut some corners. I totally understand. But meteor showers are ones that get the public unnecessarily excited, because most meteor showers are lame. And I hate to say this because I love astronomy. I love sitting out on a nice, cold, dark night and watching shooting stars, but you're never going to see like laser Floyd out there. And this is what happens with these meteor shower stories. They get overhyped so much that they say you can see 100 an hour, 80 an hour, 120 an hour. Never. Like, okay, one time. One time in 2001, you could see that many. That was it. Ever since then, you see maybe a dozen an hour. So that's like 1 every 5 minutes. Now, that's still kind of exciting, but when you're expecting 100 an hour and you're expecting stuff shooting across the sky, this is when people get mad at me. They're like, why did you get us all excited about staying up late at night to look at a meteor shower? I was expecting like these great shows from the 1833 Leonid meteor shower and all this stuff, because they always like to put these pictures in there. Like, and they're always at Niagara Falls for some reason. I don't know why the artists, I guess all the artists that night were at Niagara Falls. And I don't know about that one, that looks suspicious. I don't think that looks right. So you're not going to see things like this. You're not going to see falling stars like this. And you're going to see like one at a time. And you don't need telescopes. You don't need binoculars. You want to just like kick back in a nice lawn chair, get real comfy, have your drinks ready, all ready to go. And you want to take in as much of the sky as possible. And maybe, just maybe, you'll see a few shooting stars. If you don't, no big deal. You got a nice night outside, you got a little drinking outside, you got the stars up in the sky. Seems all pretty good. But you're not going to see like a zillion of them. And there's one more thing I got to point out, is that they never put this in the article. Well, they do. They sometimes put it way down at the bottom after you get all excited and you're like, hey, honey, we're going to go outside and go do some stargaze and see some laser Floyd outside and all these stargazers. At the very bottom, they may put, but they don't always, because they're kind of lazy. They sometimes will put at the bottom, they will say, the best viewing is usually from 2 to 5 a.m. And that is the case for almost every single meteor shower there is. Best viewing, 2 to 5 a.m. I don't want to get up that early, unless it's going to be really cool. Unless there's going to be some laser Floyd. All right, maybe if there's some drinks. But otherwise, I think it's a tall order to ask for. So definitely watch out for those meteor shower stories. Oh yeah, these are the ones that are actually decent. Let me get out of the way here. These are the ones that are actually decent to look at. Now, if you see any stories about other meteor showers that aren't these four, the Perseids, Orionids, Leonids, or Geminids, there's a whole bunch of other ones out there that they like to tout. All the other ones are mediocre to worse meteor showers. These are the only four that are decent. And by decent, I mean like maybe I'd wake up at 2 o'clock for a little bit for these. Maybe. The Perseids are probably the best ones because they usually happen in the summer. They do happen in the summer, and so you at least have a warmer night. The other ones, so-so. So even these are not the best of things to be getting excited about. Well, that's it for this episode of All Night with Dean Regas. I hope you enjoyed learning about my top 5 overrated Astro stories. Maybe you have some you want to add. And if you like this, definitely hit the like, share, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Yeah, put in the comments what some of your favorite Astro stories are. Hyped, overhyped, or just really cool. But tune in for another show here. And yeah, definitely if you like this, share it with a lot of people. We'd love to have you spread the word. We're going to have a lot of different topics coming up. So if you have any suggestions, type those into the comments too. We'd love to have you stay up all night with us again. So everybody take care, and yeah, thanks for staying up all night.